we wanted to take a little bit of a look at the sort of third place contender right now, former Vice President Mike Pence, who occupies an interesting space in all of this. And listen, DeSantis has clearly been consistently the second choice, but Mike Pence has been in there with, 7% of the vote, 10% of the vote. And we've always read this as he still continues to have some support among an evangelical base. He's positioned himself as a sort of return to this Republican Reaganism type of politics, both with floating cuts to Social Security and Medicare, also with national abortion ban. But it looks like in focus groups, there is really very little love for the former vice president among the Republican faithful. Let's put this article up on the screen. The headline here says, nobody likes Mike Pence. In focus groups, Republican voters are brutal in their assessment of the former vice president. This is by McKay Coppins. Some of the quotes here from a number of different focus groups. I think this was 4 different focus groups that he sat in on. Yeah, 4 different focus groups. 34 different Republicans participated. He says he heard only 4 people say they'd even consider Pence. 2 of them immediately started talking themselves out of it after indicating interest. Some of the key quotes here are, I don't care for him. He's just middle of the road to me. If there was someone halfway better, I would not vote for him. He has alienated every Republican and Democrat. It's over. It's retirement time. He's only going to get the vote from his family, and I'm not even sure they like him. He just needs to go away. This one I found particularly interesting because I think it gets at the key issue for him, which, is something we had sort of identified before. One participant said, I think he put a stain on himself for any, quote, normal Republican when he joined the Trump administration, and then he put a stain on himself with any Trump Republican on January 6th. So I don't think he has a constituency anywhere. I don't know if anyone would vote for him. To me, why this was important, Saagar, is it showed that there is no ability, given the way that Donald Trump sort of shapes the landscape, to try to find a middle ground, to try to have it both ways in the way that Pence has. He has recently come out at the Gridiron dinner and made some more, aggressive comments against Trump and what happened on January 6th, although he, again, is another one that doesn't even like to say Trump's name. But then he wasn't doing the thing on, so you've got, him trying to cater to the Liz Cheney wing of the Republican Party. Well, they're not impressed with him because he was part of the Trump administration, because he carried water for him for so long. And then the people who, think that Mike Pence should have overturned the election on January 6th, obviously they don't support him either.
Right.
And so there is no ability to try to have it both ways. And I think Mike Pence is finding that out the hard way.
Absolutely. And our producers, we went through and watched what happened when Pence is even on the campaign trail. When he's not talking about Trump, what is he talking about? He's talking about entitlements. He's like the one area where he's on the opposite side policy-wise of Trump. So we have a little bit of that. Let's take a listen.
We could have done a better job. But at the end of the day, I will tell you the best thing that we could do, not only turn off the spigot of unspent money, unleash American energy. But I think the time has come for us to have a fulsome national conversation about how we bring reforms to entitlements that are compassionate and common sense to lift the massive mountain of debt that our children and grandchildren are facing.
Really just groundbreaking stuff you've never heard from a Republican before there.
High level of charisma, delivered with a high level of charisma.
High level of charisma before a bunch of septuagenarians in Iowa. Good luck, Mr. Vice President. Really just don't know what to say. How can you possibly think that you are going to run effectively on a Paul Ryan loser message against the most popular Republican in the country, both on a personal and a policy level, and think that you have a chance in hell? I mean, every single thing that we look at, 6%, 7%. Trump is at 50 this morning. 50% in a Fox News poll, which traditionally has, by the way, not been particularly good for him. If you go back and you look at how Fox News did in terms of the GOP primary in 2016 and in terms of how they pegged him against Joe Biden. They historically have underestimated his support, if you want to look at the lifetime of the poll and how they perform vis-a-vis Trump. All evidence suggests that Trump's support is actually underestimated in the GOP, something basically you and I have said from the beginning. And what did you point to previously? The fact that he was facing potential indictment, people only rally to his cause even more.
Yeah.
You can't have it like this. Like, there's just no way to square it. It's not possible.
There was an interesting other dynamic that the journalists who observed those focus groups noted, which is that people would they would preface their like scathing criticism of Mike Pence with some, they'd say like, oh, you know, he seems like a really nice guy, seems like he really lives his Christian values, whatever. But it was not just that that wasn't enough to sway them that maybe he's like the right candidate for them. They took that as sort of like a sign of weakness. Like it was almost actively a detriment. What he wrote is what I found most fascinating about the voters' digs at Pence was that they were almost always preceded by passing praise of his personal character. He was a, quote, top of the line guy, a nice man, super kind, honest, decent person. Not only did these perceived qualities fail to make him an appealing candidate, they were also often held against him, treated as evidence that he lacked a certain presidential mettle. And I think that there are some warning signs in that takeaway for Ron DeSantis as well, whose whole pitch is Trump without the drama. Well, what these focus group voters, at least, are indicating is, yeah, we actually like the messiness. We like the drama. We have become accustomed to and expect that type of Trumpian personality in terms of our politics. And we aren't really looking for a U-turn from that. So I thought, you know, not only is that kind of devastating for Mike Pence, who has built this whole aw shucks personal persona as his political brand, while also helping a man who's the polar opposite become the dominant figure in the Republican Party. But I also thought there were some potential warning signs that in there for Ron DeSantis. We're going to get to DeSantis in one moment, but there was an additional piece of significant news with regards to Mike Pence and some of the myriad potential indictment charges coming for President Trump. Former President Trump. Let's put this up on the screen. A federal judge has just ruled that Pence does have to testify regarding the January 6th attack. He specifically has to talk to a grand jury about conversations he had with former President Trump leading up to the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. This has to do with the D.C.-based investigations. In a ruling that they say remains under seal, the judge also said Pence can still decline to answer questions related to the day of January 6th, adding that Pence can still appeal the ruling. The appeal option is being evaluated, the source said. So that's everything we know. So far, judge is saying, yeah, you do have to testify, especially about those conversations leading up to January 6th. Pence is apparently evaluating whether he's going to appeal that decision.
Yeah, I mean, he can try and appeal it. It looks very likely that he'll have to at least testify. The thing is about Pence is, while he did obviously keep an arm away from Trump, he didn't actually do anything to stop it. So in terms of witnesses, like he can testify that, yes, he saw the Overstock CEO come into the office and Mike Lindell and Sidney Powell in like that famous Oval Office meeting where they were coming up with all kinds of insane ideas to like institute a coup. But, you know, he didn't also, in terms of his criticism on Jan 6, I believe he held his silence for at least 1 year. Like, he did not actually come out until he wrote his book and then was going on book tour. That he was like, okay, now is the time. Like, it's not like he effectively took a courageous position. So even the attempt to try and get the so-called like Liz Cheney voter, the 1% or whatever, it's not like you were even in front of the game. That's why I just don't know how exactly he sees a political theory of the case for him.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers we cover with Quinnipiac, where only 18% of Republican voters say they don't see themselves as part of the MAGA movement, kind of says it all. I was wondering, Saagar, if you have any insight into how involved Mike Pence actually was in a lot of those, you know, those late night meetings and like the most insane of discussions. Was he kind of intimately involved, or was he pushed to the sidelines?
Yeah, he basically just didn't take. He did this thing where anytime he believed that Trump was doing something that he didn't like he would just go off into the side office. He would try and exert some influence, but then he would just keep his way out of. He would keep himself out of the meetings and encourage the president in their private meetings to take a different tack. Like, he was not involved necessarily in any of these discussions. As far as I understand it, like, tried to push back and kept a significant amount of distance, also because he knew that a lot of eyes were on him for the idea that he would try and object to election certification. So at the end of the day, like, he wasn't involved per se, but it's not like he didn't do it. He did anything about it.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what information he might even have that he could share with the grand jury, because it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Mike Pence is not an idiot. He's a savvy political operator, managed to get himself to be governor of a state, managed to get himself to be vice president and be able to hang in there the whole time and navigate the very stormy waters with regards to Trump all the way up until the end. It wouldn't surprise me if he was legally savvy enough to, anytime there was something sketchy going on for him, rather than doing anything courageous, just to protect his own ass by making sure he's not in the room for those conversations. Like, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, whatever.
I know that there was one meeting I think that he like walked out of, or he like walked in and then walked out of, but
Yeah.
at the end, materially, I just don't think it's all that important to the case. So I'm not even sure what he's really going to be able to say. And
Yeah.
it's really more about Mike Lindell and those folks.
Yeah. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.